Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Law and Order. Today we are going to discuss about a topic we cannot stay elusive from being a part of the system. We actively or passively see it happening around us or with us. You guessed it correctly. Today we are going to discuss and talk about Ponzi schemes and chit funds. And to discuss the same we have someone who needs no introduction at all. Welcome Mr. Arif Sheikh, Director, State Anti-Corruption Bureau and Economic Offences Wing of Chhattisgarh. Sir has been awarded the prestigious International Association of Chief of Police Award in Pennsylvania in Homeland Security category for his campaign Amcho Bastar, Amcho Police, and became the only IPS in the country to win this award in community policing twice in a row. So sir, from what I know and having been a law student and having studied criminal law, all of our education related to chit funds is limited to Lakshmi Chit Fund from Hera Fairy. So when speaking to the audience and to the prospective students who will be hearing this, how would you explain in very easy terms what is chit fund and how is it regulated in India?
See, chit fund is a very broad term and it is a misnomer actually. Chit fund essentially means a Ponzi scheme, and chit fund normally is business which is regulated, and for its regulation there has been an act which is called as Money Circulation and Chit Fund Regulation Act 1982. It was amended in 1982. It was earlier enacted in 1977. Okay. So what essentially Ponzi scheme is, it is a fraudulent kind of scheme, okay, which gives false promises and assurances of high returns to gullible customers. And the business model is quite simple, like they take money as an investment from X and then they promise them high returns of interest, and the same money they give to other people as returns for their investment. So this money keep on circulating and actually they don't have any business as such, just money from one person is circulated to the other, and eventually like a time is reached when they don't have money to give to anybody, and finally the Ponzi scheme collapses and they run away by taking all the money, and like it causes lot of damage to the financial system of India. So for this purpose lot of acts were enacted, okay. But there are different kind of acts, and like about 6-7 years back the threat of money circulation, such kind of Ponzi schemes was very huge, and there was no policy as such as to how to regulate these Ponzi schemes. And if you can remember, like there was a huge hue and cry about chit funds like Sharda scam and IMS scam, Sai Prasad and all, Sahara, to name a few. Ponzi, the name itself was in fact got from one infamous person, Charles Ponzi. Okay, he was the first person like who enacted such kind of Ponzi scheme where this model was implemented, and then he ran away with all the money of the gullible people. And based on his name, infamous name rather, all these such kind of schemes were named as Ponzi schemes, okay. And if I can remember, like there was a big scam of Ponzi in India in 1992. It was called as Dhanalakshmi or something like that.
Right.
So like if I can remember, because my mother also invested in that, and like from that time only, like I had a very I wanted to take some revenge against such kind of schemes, okay. And fortunately, like in Chhattisgarh, I got this opportunity of tightening them,
right,
and I did rightly. Before the enactment of this Protection of Investors Act, there was no such act in Chhattisgarh as well as in other places, okay. Like other places had these kind of acts, but Chhattisgarh did not had this kind of act. So the only act on which we used to take action against this chit funds or Ponzi schemes was Prevention of Money Circulation and Chit Funds Act 1982, okay. But as I had already said, this was for regulation of Chit Fund Act,
right.
okay. Like see, chit fund is like you call it as BC, something like BC, okay,
Okay.
where everybody contributes monthly, and then they take some chits,
Right.
and whoever names come in that chit, then the collection of that month goes to that particular person, okay.
Right.
So for regulation of this chit fund, that act was enacted,
Okay.
Chit Fund Act. But in that there was one term, okay, it pertained to money circulation, okay, and it was like free money, like easy money. That was the term which like we focused upon from that act. And anybody who promises easy money to any person with an assurance that after so and so year, like we will give you so much of interest, okay, because RBI has already set the limit for the maximum interest which can be given to anybody, okay.
Correct.
And if anybody gives any interest above that rate of interest set by RBI, then it is not economically viable, okay.
Correct.
So that was one thing. And this act, so together along with this act, we tried to take action against these chit fund schemes. In section 7 of that act, it is clearly written that it is a cognizable act, and directly action can be taken upon by anybody of the rank of sub-inspector and above, okay.
Okay.
And we can raid also on in the places where such kind of activity is being run. As I have told, the financial regulation system in India, it is evolving because of the financial frauds which are
Right.
happening around us,
Right.
and it is not because of some financial principles or some tenets of that sort. So, like continuously improvements are there in the various acts, okay. This act is basically regulating the Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes is a very broad kind of, it is an umbrella kind of term, and within that Ponzi schemes there are various other such kind of schemes. We can name them as cumulative investment schemes. Then few of the schemes, they pretend to be as fixed deposit schemes. They take deposits from the people, and they show that they are investing in public companies, or they pretend to be NBFCs, okay. Then there are multi-state cooperatives, we call it as MSCs. So there are various such kind of schemes, and each has got its own regulating body. Like NBFC is regulated by RBI,
Okay.
and the act which is regulating the NBFC is RBI Act 1934
Right.
35. Then the cumulative investment scheme, the regulator is SEBI,
Okay.
okay, and SEBI Act 1992 is the regulating act. Multi-state commodities, the regulatory authority is Ministry of Agriculture,
Okay.
okay. So the problem with the regulation in India is that there are so many regulatory bodies, so many, like today there are around 8 various regulatory bodies.
So,
And
sir, does that not create a confusion between
That's what
the
is
jurisdiction?
Yes, that's what is creating the confusion. And about 60 acts are there, various
Oh.
60 acts for regulation of such kind of bodies. And because of the multiplicity of such acts, there are so many loopholes, and these people tend to get away. Like there are loopholes, because of that only, like many of the people fled also India,
Correct.
usurping a lot of money. So there is an urgent need of removing all these loopholes and creating such a strong financial regulation system, so that such kind of frauds don't happen in Indian economic system.
So, as you mentioned, your mother also became a part of this scheme somehow. That brings me to ask, apart from the easy money that's promised, are there any other factors involved that people, get themselves lured into such schemes? And also, when these fraudsters are caught, they can be dealt away with in the court. But what happens to the investors then? Because the money has been circulating in the market, they have no money to give back to the investors. What happens to them then, and how can they be compensated in such situations?
See, as I have already told you, that the raison d'etre of these fraudulent Ponzi schemes is their assurance that the investor will get a fixed rate of interest after so many years. Okay, and the Indian economic system, like it was more in an unorganized sector rather than in the organized sector. Okay, so like all these farmers and all, they get money during the harvest season, and the total economic setup, it has not percolated down in the villages. Okay, and because of that, such kind of unorganized sectors like the money lenders and all, they play a very important role. Okay,
Correct.
and the money lenders and all, they don't give that much rate of interest. Okay, and banking system, like it has penetrated today, but if I'm talking about say 5 or 7 years before, it was not so. And even in remote areas of Bastar and all, even still today, like there are not many banks, and they depend heavily on these small time money lenders and all. So the only thing which these gullible investors and these farmers, they believe is such kind of Ponzi schemes, because they give something in writing, some fixed deposit receipts is given. They are not bothered whether it is true or not. They don't know about RBI, they don't know about any regulatory body. What they feel is that that person is given me something in writing, and that
Must be true.
instrument, it doesn't have any value. Okay, but they don't understand this. Okay, so that was the major reason why these Ponzi schemes they proliferated in Chhattisgarh or across entire India. You must be amazed. Like there was a data about 60,000 odd Ponzi schemes of such kind are there in India.
Currently running.
Not currently, like this data is 2 years back, which I
Okay.
read somewhere. But there were so many Ponzi schemes
My
which were
God.
running in India. Okay, and an amount around 15 trillion 15 trillion rupees. Okay, so that much amount of rupees is being invested in such kind of Ponzi schemes. Okay, and that is a huge dent to the financial system. Okay, so it is very difficult, and it is a major challenge before us to regulate and to take action against such kind of
Yeah.
system.
Yes.
And you asked me about how these people get back their
Yeah.
money. See, that is a very difficult question, and like it has been haunting a lot of governments as well, because like the thing is, once you take actions against them, uh, normally these people, most of them, they have parked their money outside India,
Correct.
and the kind of assets which they have invested in India, it is not commensurate to the amount of scam which they have done.
Done.
And whatever amount of scam which I suggested, also some 10 trillion, that is suggestive. Okay, it is not exact amount. Okay, so we really don't know how much amount has been lost in all these Ponzi schemes.
Correct.
And once they liquidate also, like what formula will the body who is going to distribute this asset, it is not known.
No.
Okay, so it is a very tricky kind of questions, like how eventually they are going to distribute this money. So the only thing which I want to advise via this forum is, like, you should not believe in such kind of fraudulent schemes, and anybody who is assuring you of any high interest rate and all, believe me that it will be certainly a fraudulent scheme, and you have to report it to the nearest police station.
Correct, sir. Thank you so much for your answer. Sir, I also wanted to ask, whenever two people are talking who are not very well versed with the law, they tend to use pyramid scheme and Ponzi scheme interchangeably. So, are they really interchangeable or similar terms, or are they completely different things?
See, pyramidal scheme, or essentially MLM schemes, okay, multi-level marketing scheme. Ponzi business runs on the principle of MLM, okay, but not essentially. It can take another business model as well. This multi-level marketing, what essentially happens, like it is a binary kind of system in which one investor, he has to bring another two investors for investment in this particular scheme. Then he gets some commission. He gets commission because he has enrolled two members. Then these two members, they again bring two customers. then essentially like the commission, this one fellow who had brought the other people, he gets commission. So this pyramid is forming, okay. And based on this, the Ponzi schemes also runs. But now they have changed this business model. As I told, there are other models like the cumulative investment scheme, and they pretend that they are cumulative investment scheme, and they have some different motives for pretending as this, because the regulation body is different, the acts is different. So like if they pretend cumulative investment scheme, then the RBI people cannot take action against them, okay. And normally the knowledge of law enforcement agencies also, like it started when they started taking action against these agencies, and they faced the loopholes because of which they were escaping, okay. So like they slowly and steadily started learning from their mistakes, and eventually like they are now finally taking actions against this.
Okay, sir. So in light of today's times, specifically speaking about COVID, even though you did not have one day off your service, I am sure many people had a lot of time where they thought about their investments and their money and financial situations. So did you see a rise in chit funds and Ponzi schemes during these times? And did you see a lot of these schemes increasing in these times where people wanted to invest, and people who were fraudulent enough, they were looking out for opportunities, and gullible people like such?
See, like there was a massive action against such kind of Ponzi schemes, okay, for the last 2-3 years, like across India, like heavy action has been taken against them by the law enforcement agencies, and slowly and steadily there has been a decline of these Ponzi schemes, but nevertheless they keep up propping here and there, okay, and then police needs to take action. During COVID times, the fraudsters took some another form, okay, like the more emphasis is on phishing rather than the Ponzi schemes, okay. So then they are pretending themselves to be somebody from the vaccine companies or something like that, okay. Now they have graduated from the Ponzi schemes to the phishing. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the new form of scams which they have got into.
Okay. So as you also spoke about confusion because of so many authorities and so many regulatory bodies that are present, is there also a confusion present because of a state act and a central act that's present for the chit fund?
No, like see, the Chit Fund Act is a different kind of act, and when we take action against any chit fund company or against any Ponzi schemes, we invoke Chit Fund Act also, and this Prevention of Protection of Investors Act also, okay. So together we file the case, okay, by invoking section 3, 4, 5 of Money Circulation and Chit Fund Act, and section 10 of Protection of Investors Act, okay. So together, so they are not at loggerheads, okay.
So last question for you for today. So what advice would you like to give through this forum as to whoever is listening about what education should they, or what proper knowledge should they hold about these schemes and these fraudulent activities, so that they can save themselves to not be victimized by them?
See, like in today's world, knowledge is the only solution for all such kind of problems. So you have to get yourself acquainted with the all such kind of frauds which are happening around you.
Right.
Okay, unless and until you know what kind of fraud is happening, you cannot protect yourself. So seek knowledge, and that thirst should be there to learn more and more, especially for lawyers. Since this is a forum for lawyers, so many new things are coming up. If I am talking about chit funds and Ponzi schemes, I already told you phishing kind of scam is there. Then it is graduating into bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. So it is a huge market, and the fraudsters are just waiting for an opportunity to catch you. Okay, so you have to be abreasted with the latest of knowledge, so that you can protect not only yourself but the other people also who don't have this kind of knowledge.
Thank you for tuning in today. This was in today's episode of Law and Order with Mr. Arif Sheikh. Thank you.